Hello and welcome to Monkey Broadcast, our monthly review discussion show with me, the Jelly Monkey.
And me, Sven the Crusader.
So, this is it, the final Monkey Broadcast, or at least the final regular one.
It has been a long road, and now we need a montage flashback.
Wait, can you have such a thing with audio? I mean, I suppose you can, but what would you call it? Would you call it a montage or a barrage of sound things?
Good question.
Curse you French people, why do you not have a faintly pretentious term for radio as well as for film? But enough of these intros. For the semi-final time, it's time to kick things off with...
Q&A!
I will miss you, big voice.
He will return. Anyway, this is where we provide answers to questions sent to us by our fans and subscribers. And since we're stopped doing the regular updates of Monkey Broadcast, so it's going to be a while before we can hold these Q&As again, I've decided to release the limit I'd put on the show of one question per user, and, well, let's say we finally got on a mountain of questions to answer.
Doesn't that just figure? The day we decide to cancel the show for lack of involvement, people get involved.
Yeah. Okay,
Not to insult anyone out there, I just find that really funny.
It's almost like that whole new Coke scandal, yes. But yeah, first of all, just to answer some questions that were made before the update, these come from Mega Shadowrunner, and he has 3 simple questions for us. First...
Have you guys seen Cloud Atlas?
Nope.
Nope.
Moving on.
Do you have a favourite spin-off game of a series that you like?
Okay.
Actually, yes, I can easily answer that. Heroes of Might and Magic to Might and Magic. There you go.
Nice. Was unlocking the old RPG for the PC? Or...
Yeah, Might and Magic, the one where... I think you may recall the story where I managed to break an entire game by planting a screwdriver on a key.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Heroes of Might and Magic is the strategy game version of that.
Alright, okay.
And probably my gateway into strategy games like Fire Emblem, so credit that game with me being here.
Technically, if you counted Donkey Kong Country as a spin-off, that would be one I kind of liked. Leading into that, I guess, if you're having a spin-off of a spin-off, I like Jungle Climber, and some people classify that as a spin-off of DKC, I suppose. Otherwise, I think most of the spin-offs I like would be from the Pokemon series, like Pokemon Conquest, and nothing else is really springing to mind. Again, it depends what you define as a spin-off, because I kind of like Mega Man ZX, but then again, that's just another branch of the same series, or a future version of the series. It's complicated.
Yeah, and I generally just kind of don't play spin-offs, so I have to settle on Heroes.
Fair enough. And his final question...
Sugar cookies or chocolate chip cookies?
Well, since I haven't had chocolate due to allergies in years, I'm gonna go right ahead and say sugar cookies. Sob.
As for me, I'm going to take the third option and say neither. I don't like cookies. Cookies I find to be disgusting abominations.
Suddenly Richard appears to do a rant on cookies. That is a brilliant way to end the series.
Oh, geez. Yes, let's just say it's Richard so that I don't accidentally alienate half the fan base. Moving on.
With hatred for cookies.
Okay.
I think I've already pissed off enough of the fan base by bashing One Piece every chance I get.
Yeah. Oh, geez. You can bash One Piece, you can bash Sonic, but bashing cookies, that's a step too far.
Oh, wow. Only we would ever find a way to work that into something. Right, moving on. Our next series of questions comes from Trainman666. And he asks, firstly,
what are some video games you feel are greatly overrated and why?
Yes.
I start laughing in dread under my breath because I know exactly where this is going to go. You go ahead and list one of the smaller targets because I'm about to piss off most of YouTube.
Okie doke then. Well, I wouldn't say I really generally think a game is overrated because I'm at that point where I can accept people have different opinions from me, but in the case of a game which everyone likes but I don't really see the appeal of, I guess I would add Super Paper Mario and possibly the original Super Mario RPG on the SNES as those 2 examples. Now, I know people are going to be especially annoyed at the second one. Maybe just because of the fact that we didn't get it in Europe until the Virtual Console, the Wii. I played it and it just really didn't click that well with me. I just didn't get why everyone in the Kit Club it was so charming and the characters were so memorable. And I especially don't get why people like Gino. For God's sake, that guy didn't have a personality. It's just like, he's a wooden doll thing. I don't even get the whole badass element of it, but whatever. And Super Paper Mario, I think I've mentioned once or twice before, but okay, I didn't find it really that enjoyable because it seemed to be like a game that was trying to mix platformer and an RPG, but completely missing the point of what made both genres so enjoyable, so...
Well, there's a recommendation against that game. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, some people really, really like it and say they prefer it because it took out the RPG elements, which they feel doesn't fit in a Mario game, but honestly, it just feels like they've created either an extremely linear RPG or an incredibly dull, slow-paced platformer.
Yeah, so the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, and some people have told me World 3 is where it all changes and gets really, really good. Having seen video clips of World 3, I can't say I'm not impressed, since it mostly seems to be a combination of a nostalgia trip and really cheap jokes about nerds, because, you know, nerds don't get picked on enough by popular culture.
Yeah.
The only other one I can think of is maybe Heavy Rain, but that's only based on what I can tell of a few clips on YouTube, so I'm going to reserve that until I've actually played the game. Oh, Sven, I say nervously, what do you think is going to piss off the fanbase?
It's not so much going to piss off the fan base as it is going to piss off everyone on YouTube practically, because you really can't go a discussion about overrated games without at some point, almost in the style of Godwin's Law, bringing up Call of Duty. I'll put it in the words of Yahtzee. It's no longer a game, it's a job for idiots. It's an idiot job. Because at this point now, they release the same game every year, and the same people play it.
So nothing about Call of Duty recently has sparked the imagination or anything like that?
No, in fact, I think the last game I liked was the 4th one. They're on the 8th. No, actually, Black Ops 2 is the 9th. They're on Call of Duty 9, and the last time I liked the series was 5 games ago. And yet on YouTube, you get people claiming that it is the only game ever, and I swear to God, I've seen people say that they play nothing but the game.
Yeah, unfortunately that doesn't surprise me from what I've seen of YouTube commenters.
Yeah. So, not only do I have the fact that it is the exact same game, never changed in the slightest, being released again and again and again without end just because it makes money, I'm also turned off by the fact that, as is that clause with fans on the internet, the fans just turn me completely off. Even more so than most series, because it seems to be the entire fan base.
So, out of curiosity, did you ever well, you just said you liked the 4th game, but did you ever, actually really think Call of Duty was that great when it first started as a series, or has it just been something new from the first game you think, okay, it's good, but not that good?
Well, I loved the first game, because that was the 2nd game I played, Call of Duty 3 on the Wii. Let's not get into that, that was a horrible port. But Call of Duty 1, I really, really loved because of the modability of it and the simplicity of it. But now it's gone from a wanton slaughter of Nazis, which I think we can all get behind. Just look at Kubo. Now it's gone from that to some sort of pretentious, counterproductive, anti-war sentiment single-player and multiplayer with the worst fan base I think I've ever seen. And people called Halo bad. And that basically started with the 4th game, which I liked, but that was whenever I started seeing the rabid fan base kick in.
Actually, having said that, I think there are plenty of people who do feel the same way as you, so it's...
Well, I've just pissed off the entire Call of Duty fan base, so I'm glad that I at least have backup.
True. So, yeah, I think that answers that question, so...
Moving on before I piss off more fans.
What gaming icon is your favorite and why?
Do I really have to say this?
I knew that was coming.
Okay, I'll just get it quickly out of the way. Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong. Right.
Because Donkey Kong, basically.
Yes. If you want a more in-depth reason, go back through our show's history. I can't remember which one it was. I'll probably post a link in the description or something, but I do actually go into more depth about why I like Donkey Kong, but I don't want to repeat the explanation. I guess just to give a short version, he was the first video game character I ever played with, and Donkey Kong Country was the first time I started thinking about the story of video games, so that's why.
Yes, and that's fair enough. As for me, I can't really say I have one unless you count Commander Shepard as a gaming icon at this point, so...
I guess technically Shepard is in the same category as Link, just that he or she can actually speak.
True. And I think I've kind of explained my reasoning for this in previous Monkey broadcasts as well, because basically the reason I like Commander Shepard so much is twofold. A, it's a blank slate character whose personality you can create, which as a complete nerd and writer I really like for reasons I think you can imagine. And B, because Commander Shepard is the protagonist of Mass Effect. That's
Yeah.
basically it.
Fair enough.
And finally, what are some games or series of games that you feel deserve to be remade, rebooted, or just plain done better in the scope of things?
Ooh, this is a good one.
Yeah, I already kind of have part of an answer, but I'm not sure if it totally counts. You go ahead on this one first.
No, you go ahead. I'm still thinking.
Well, for starters, I'm kind of in agreement with the people who say that Final Fantasy VII could be done with modernization. Same goes for Final Fantasy X, for different reasons. 7, well, let's be honest, the polygons are kind of a distraction now. And I think in hindsight, some of the story could be done better. Not to mention it has possibly the least engaging villain in any game ever.
And another one gone. Another one gone. Another fan base pissed off.
Oh god. Queen has turned against me. Yes, just by the by, people, Kefka and Kuja could kick Sephiroth's ass any day of the week.
Oh.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on to
okay.
Final Fantasy X, this one's briefer. Simply put, this one needs to be rebooted, which I believe it is being done, because A, the voice acting is horrible. B, the protagonist is the biggest moron I think I've seen in the series.
Oh, wow.
And C, the plot's kind of questionable in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's funny because it basically has the same plot as Tales of Symphonia. If Tales of Symphonia was written by Final Fantasy Square Enix executives who were slowly running out of ideas.
I thought you were going to say written by Kubo for a second then.
No, it's not quite that ridiculous. I mean, Final Fantasy X, after all, never got into Nazis.
That's true. What I'd like to see remade is the Wind Waker, and the reason I say that is because... Oh, I really wish I could pronounce his name. Uemura, the director of the Legend of Zelda series, has often mentioned that there was loads of content he wanted to put in Wind Waker, and he had to remove it. Like, I believe the Triforce quest was kind of to make up for the fact that they were going to include some temples, but they couldn't, so that was the best they could do. And apparently, well, without getting into too much spoilers, in the setting for the final act where Ganon's tower is, there was apparently supposed to be another world or 2 dungeons you could explore. So, yeah, I just want Wind Waker to be rebuilt just to see what sort of content was available, because...
I kind of see what you mean, even though Wind Waker is an extremely solid game on its own.
Yeah,
so much so that even Yahtzee liked it.
Yeah, well, he liked the sailing in it, at the very least.
Yeah, I think he's mentioned it favorably before, too. Which is
Yeah.
fair for him, because he's notorious for hating Zelda.
Oh, yeah. The only other game I can think of that needs to be remade is probably Dinosaur Planet, just because I'd like to see how Rare would have made that game if they hadn't been told to turn it into Star Fox Adventures.
Yes. Where Star Fox started to go questionable. It kind of took the same route as Sonic, actually.
Actually, a good point. Star Fox is a series that probably needs a reboot. I don't think Sonic needs a reboot quite as badly, since he's been getting better now with Sonic Colors, although one other thing that needs a reboot is F-Zero, and I'll get more into that in the news section, but... oh, damn it, I had one idea, but it slipped down on my head.
Well, if you can't think of one, I'll just bring one up quickly. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 as done with all the missing content.
Oh, right. Was there content removed from that as well, or...?
Let's just say about half the game was hacked off because someone higher up on the food chain demanded that the game be released quickly.
Oh.
Don't get me wrong, it was a really good game on its own, not as good as the original, but I think it would have been even better if someone had rushed it along about the pace of a zombie snail on rocket skates.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And... yeah, the only other thing I can think of is maybe Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, but with supports. That's about it, really.
Yeah, that's actually something of a nerd fantasy of mine that I know is never going to happen, and I know really doesn't have much point aside from to stroke my nerd ego, but I would love to see the entire Final Fantasy series done as with voice acting.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, the voice acting has been getting better from Dissidia onwards, so...
Wait, did I say Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
It was meant to be Fire Emblem.
Okay, but in that case, yeah, Fire Emblem definitely needs better voice acting.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've seen trailers for the English release of Awakening, and it seems to be getting better, but I'm not going to hold my breath after Radiant Dawn.
Here's hoping. So, I believe that's everything, so we'll now move on to the next batch of questions. Let's see. This next batch comes from Lulu McDuck. First off, I'm just going to shorten this question for a bit.
Have you read or watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Unfortunately, no. I've had people recommend it to me end on end, but I've never actually read it myself. All I know is that there's apparently a Frenchman in it, and there is also Dio Brando, whose battle cries I won't even try to imitate.
Yeah. Like Sven, I've had people recommend it to me. The only bits I know about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are from the fighting game Jump Ultimate Stars, and I know that one of the characters keeps saying Zawoldo, but that's about it.
That'll be Dio Brando.
And apparently it's around guardian spirits or stands that have some kind of metal or rock reference in their name.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into it that much, but I think I'll at least look into the stands.
Next question. This one will take slightly longer to answer.
What's your favourite manga series of all time and why? Is it because of the characters, story, action, etc.?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. Trigun. And my reason behind this is, several-fold. Firstly, the characters. If there was ever a dictionary definition for a quirky cast...
Yeah.
The four main characters I'll just very quickly go over for the sake of humor. You have a hyperactive, donut-loving pacifist for a main character, the Lancer and love interest in the form of a strict, stringent insurance company officer, the big guy in the form of a woman, like a 6-foot-tall woman who is incessantly cheerful and incessantly optimistic in possibly the biggest crapsack world in 90s manga. And a priest with a cross for a machine gun.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens.
Yeah, and somehow this cast manages to be serious at points.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Trigun actually does get pretty dark and serious at times.
Yeah, would you ever know that by looking at the cast I just described? And speaking of which, that's another reason I love it. The setting. Futuristic westerns I've always loved, partially because of the western aspect. I'm in the Old West.
Nice.
That's why I'm always so fond of western RPs. Jonin can vouch for that for me.
Yep.
Yeah, but I really like the futuristic western setting. In fact, in hindsight, it kind of reminds me of Fallout without the hideous amounts of grimdark, because let's be honest, Fallout really doesn't have light moments.
So basically it's kind of like Fallout except with humor in it.
Yeah, Fallout with humor that isn't black.
Fair enough. On my end, there are two answers. It's just trying to decide between each one. They're both... Guess. What's the common connection between them?
Well, I have something of an idea which ones they are. So I'm going to go ahead and say that they're written by the same person.
Yep. Nobuhiro Watsuke.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead and call it. Rurouni Kenshin and Buso Rankin.
Yep.
We've been over this.
Yeah. Okay, just to quickly explain the two things. The reason I like them both, and I keep flipping from day to day, is that Rurouni Kenshin goes into deeper themes and lasts longer, but has some problems, whereas Buso Rankin is fun and holds itself well together as a story, but unfortunately was cancelled, so it kind of rushes towards the end in the final arc, which is disappointing. Oh, and also a quick note, since Lulu McDuck's the one who asked this, and because I know One Piece is very popular, Nobuhiro Watsuki was in fact a mentor for Oda, One Piece's mangaka, so this might be checking out just to see the inspiration for that guy. The reason why I like these two manga, they have a lot of similarities in that they have good character arcs, and they also have just good characters general and their interactions. In Rurouni Kenshin, you have Kenshin, who's kind of like Vaster Stampede, this eccentric pacifist with a dark past, and this supersonic sword style, which means he can take down 3 people in one swing, basically. That's kind of how powerful he is. You then also have a dojo master, Kamiya Karo, and her student, Yanohiko, who are fun of themselves, and then you have Sanosuke, who's kind of like feudal Japan version of Kinpachi in that he's basically a fist fighter his main fighting style is basically taking whatever his opponents can dish out, so...
Oh, I like him already.
Yeah, and there's also the character of Saito, the kind of 5th member of the cast, he's an anti-hero, but he's kind of an anti-hero done unwell in that he's a git, but he's not a git for the sake of it. Like, he's more than willing to work with the hero if their goals happen to match. It's just that he doesn't actually like anyone.
Well, apparently, going on this, the one who really needed to be mentored by Nobuhiro Watsuki was Kishimoto.
Yep, pretty much. No, Rurouni Kenshin, it's kind of interesting because it's oddly a whole balance between comedy and drama, and it's also based after the Meiji era, which is basically after Japan had like a massive civil war, so it's kind of got a lot of interesting like references to Japanese history and political turmoil, and it usually explains the key elements, so yeah, you do kind of learn a bit about Japanese history as well. I mean, obviously it's no substitute for actually studying the history, but...
It's an appeal to me either way because I think I've mentioned that I'm a student of history before. I just generally kind of like it, so that's an appeal to me already.
Yeah. I mean, it occasionally does have like one or two problems. Like, the fight sequences are all really, really cool, but occasionally, one of Nobuhiro Watsuki's weaknesses is that when he tries to justify things using science, it really doesn't work. For example, I'm not 100% sure someone could survive if all of their sweat ducts were burnt off, and even if they could, I don't think that would make their body super hot.
I'm never going to begin to get into the science of that. Science was one of my weakest subjects, and I know that doesn't work.
Yeah. Which is possibly one of the problems Buso Ranking doesn't have, because Buso Ranking has... ranking basically just means alchemy, so it's basically just says, there's here, they can use this because of alchemy, and that basically covers one of Watsuki's major weaknesses, which is a plus already, but... I think the best way to describe Buso Ranking, it has the same plus points as Rurouni Kenshin, that it has great characters, and the fighting sequences are absolutely awesome, because it's kind of like One Piece in that they're absolutely crazy, as every character has like different and unique powers, but it's really fun to see how those fighting styles interplay and how you get around them. But I think the best way to describe Buso Ranking is what Bleach should have been. because the premise is actually faintly similar, and I will admit the first arc does have one or two similarities with the Soul Society arc of Bleach in that it's based around a female character who's in danger and the hero does have to rescue her, but the writing is so much better than Bleach in every single way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the case could be made that the writing in Bleach started off good. I mean, up until Aizen left, there wasn't that many problems, but I still would not have a hard time believing that the author of the legendary Rurouni Kenshin could do a better job of things.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's also two prime examples of what I consider a good manga heroine and a good manga anti-hero. Because Tokiko, she's just... I think the best way to describe her is badass, but not, like, nigh on invincible. Like, she does have weaknesses, she does have flaws, so it's not like one of those, it's not like one of those characters who's meant to be so badass they're not allowed to show any kinds of weakness ever, you know?
Yeah, basically she's not Bayonetta.
Pretty much. God, Bayonetta. And then there's Papillon, who... How do you describe Papillon?
Aside from having a fashion sense ripped from Kuja himself.
Yeah, and aside from the fact that his first appearance is him killing several people wearing nothing but a fawn and a butterfly mask.
Not something you say every day of a character.
He is definitely an anti-hero, not just because he's scary, but also because, like Saito, it's not like Vegeta where he starts off as a git and then slowly degrades into just another supporting character with delusions of grandeur. Everything he does is purely for his own reasons alone, so if he does help the hero, it's only because he wants to kick the hero's ass later, and there is one scene where someone tries to manipulate him into helping Katsuki, and he says, "Nope, whilst what you say is true, I don't like being manipulated by others."
Yeah, you know, from what I watched of the anime version of it, I kind of agree with your liking of Papillon, even though his fashion sense just disturbs me on a whole new personal level.
Yeah, I know. That's perfectly understandable. Hell, you haven't seen some of the things he wore in the manga.
Oh god, I'm not
Speaking
sure
of which... Those are the two theories I like, so yeah, those are things you should probably check out.